What's going on, world? It's your boy Kuya P. This is the NRW Nerds Rule the World, and I'm here for another KayFabeyBaby, the NRW Ring Generals podcast with the homies minus one. Our love to Sean Mongol, the big homie, is on a trip right now with his significant other, the good friend Maki Roll, who's killing it right now, doing her burlesque tour, if you will. Shout out to the homie Maki. But Sean is on his way to enjoy time with his loved one. But of course, the man who is the man, the myth, the fragrance, the legend. He is the cat with WebsterStyle, giving you that fine fragrance pick recommendations. If you're not following him on Twitter like I am, then you need to, because I learned what I need to buy through him. He is a man of style. He also is our gamer champion with the checkpoint with my man Brian Saff on the NRW. WebsterStyle, how are you, homie?
I'm good, Kuya P. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good, my friend, man. Always a pleasure to see you and talk with you, dude. And nerd out about wrestling. It's what helps ground me a little bit, when we're busy. I both do cover a lot of entertainment stuff. We both are out in the world doing things, but there's certain things that we love that we can escape to, and one of those things I know is wrestling. You and I both enjoy the wrestling in its various fashions, whether it's AEW, WWE, NXT, New Japan. Enjoy this. I'm happy that we're doing the KayFabeyBaby with Sean. Just always some good time to just check in on some other things. So, man, always a pleasure to talk to you, bro.
Definitely, same here, man.
So, this week we had some plans in different respects, from some of the previous episodes. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of things happening. But one of the things that, I wanted to bring to the table, since, as you know, and we stated in other episodes, what got me back into wrestling was women's wrestling. I love the breadth of talent that's out there now. It's now, we didn't have that back in the day. As a young fan of wrestling, there's Wendy Richter, there's Elizabeth, the sensational Sherry, but, we didn't see like the women kick it. And, why not? Maybe I was just,
we had Glow. That was about it.
We had Glow, but we didn't get it like that. Right. And, maybe it was that male chauvinism, if you will, or it's a different time, and we've seen it, as men, and now we're men that have daughters. Right. The future is female. Women, everybody deserves the right to express themselves and compete in whatever fashion they want to do. Right. We as men shouldn't hold women back. And so I'm delighted that that's out there, because that's what now brought my daughter into wrestling, is seeing Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Naomi, just killing it. Right. So, that's what got me back. And to me, I'm more entertained, because I think there's a lot of characters and stuff, if you will, right, with the women. I think in certain ways, better performers. Shout out to my girl, Asuka. There's a lot of great performers out there that, I think the women rival the men in a lot of different ways into what they're contributing as far as skills and talent. And one that caught my eye, and why it's my background right now, is Zoe Stark, I think. And then Sol Rucka, I think, is the other lady who's being thrown by Zoe right now. I haven't followed the NXT as much as I would like. What are some women wrestlers that you're checking out? And I'd ask you, what do you know about Zoe Stark? Are you tracking? Is there some young up-and-comers that you're a big fan of?
Well, I will say this in general. NXT has a lot of good up-and-coming female talent. I have fallen off a little bit with just like keeping up with a lot of storylines, especially with the women lately. Because this is one thing we've talked about just some of our criticism briefly of AEW in the women's division over the past couple of shows. And this is what I'll say. And they're getting better. I'm not saying like, oh, they suck. But one of the things I like with what NXT is doing, with what Impact is doing, they have a lot of women's storylines that don't necessarily involve a title. And I think for me, Zoe obviously wants the title, but even like she was in a tag team with Nikita Lyons, who I have been a big fan of. Nikita was on WoW before they rebranded again and as the Lioness. And I'm like, I was talking to my man over in England who does a podcast on wrestling. This is like, yo, she's the truth. Like she is like, you saw her and like you saw the talent, you saw the raw, untapped talent. And unfortunately, she's out on the shelf for a year, but it happens. But Zoe Stark was in a tag team with her. So because of my fandom of Nikita, I saw a lot of her, came away very impressed. I honestly think that the NXT women's division is so stacked right now. Even with, whether with Roxanne and Perez being potentially injured, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to. That was another thing I want to bring up.
I don't know if that was
because I don't know what
or for real, but
yeah,
just reading it seems like it's legit. And I liked Roxanne Perez when she was Roxy in ROH.
Same.
So the NXT women's, I mean, they are stacked. I mean, I like Wendy Chu. I like so many of the female wrestlers, both that have been there for a minute, as well as who are really starting to get their shine, even on Level Up. I always come away impressed. Not saying I don't like the men, but this is one thing I like about women's wrestling in general. I think women get away with a lot more theatrics, a lot more of the creativity to make it believable. I think with male wrestling, because of that, and again, this is natural, you want to really present that masculine presence, that strong presence. It is very difficult to have a lot of the action. Like we're seeing that with maximum male models in on Raw, and even before that we saw that with Fashion Police, but they evolved into those characters from what they were before. So we get hints of that, but I think even like Wendy Chu, even Xia Lin before they changed her character back. You think of Shotzi, and I mean she's who she is as far as a pure horror geek. There are so many that are able to really be in that theatrics. And of course, we go back to, someone whom we both love as far as a female performer, Asuka. And that's, again, coming from Japan and that sort of motif. But I think there's a lot more theatrics that even looking at what's going over Impact with the Death Dolls and how Havoc has changed to Jessica and how they've changed their character, and Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie, how she's been there's a lot more theatrics, even though it's still with the title. They brought in Killer Kelly, Lady Snow was there for a hot second, Savannah Evans, Deanna Purrazzo. They have a stacked knockouts division, and it's so much fun to watch. Even back in the day, I watched Impact for the knockouts. Excuse me, Impact / TNA for the knockouts, and what Awesome Kong was doing. There's the athleticism is just, when it's on, and you look at this background and what you have here. I saw parts of this match, the whole thing. This was a really good match. I am really up on just women's wrestling in general overall. I'm looking forward to AEW getting better with their booking and their storytelling. And again, I'm liking what they're doing with the Outcast storyline now. But they have a lot of good people that I'm a fan of. Sky Blue. I think that she's definitely just young, raw, untapped talent. I think I told you before, I remember Nyla Rose, I want to say it was a WordPress, or even it was like an Angel Fire page. It was some old blogging platform she used to blog on, and I discovered her. It must have been a good 10 years ago or something like that. It's been a long time. So I knew of her, and I love what they did with her when she came in. Women's wrestling is just amazing. I will say this, though, and this is probably my biggest disappointment in women's wrestling right now. WoW is just not it. I love some WoW, season 3 or whatever it is, but since they've come back, there is something off about what they're doing. And even with them bringing in what is her name? CM Punk's wife. Now I forget her name. Her real name.
It was right there.
Yeah, it's right there. I forget. She's I don't know.
AJ
if she's doing
Lee.
Yes, she was doing some stuff, and they had the whole thing with why do I forget her name? Ladies and gentlemen, senility is setting in already. It'll come to me.
It's all love, brother. Same over here too, bro.
Tessa Blanchard, yes. And all of the issues
who was supposed to be
her.
the next big thing, right? Because of her mouth and
right.
Yeah.
Tessa was great. Tessa was wrestling ability. She is great. I mean, I loved the when she was in Impact, and honestly, when they put the world title on her, I'm like, I wasn't mad at that. She puts on good matches, especially like that match with her and Brian Cage for the title. What was her and Kim? Anyway, she's a great worker. It's just everything else about her that has really soured her in the industry, even with Wild, which would have been her bread and butter, which is one of the reasons I watched and really got an idea of what kind of worker she was. There's so many female talents, and we talk about even now with New Japan, not Io Shirai, Kairi Sane or Kyrie, and I loved her in WWE and NXT, and now Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, is there, and really hoping to bolster that women's division. Because I don't remember if they kind of combine with Shine or Shine. I forget what the wrestling, female women wrestling was there, but I know there was some sort of merger or something to bring a lot more female talent, because I wasn't aware of female New Japan wrestlers and before that whole thing a year or two ago. So I'm interested to see what they do to really bolster their division, and because really they have a lot of talent there, and especially looking at if they can make female stars like Okada and all the rest of them, like in a couple years they could really be a powerhouse in women's wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, man. I was trying to think, as also the same time there was it's escaping me, but you brought up women's wrestling. Wow. Again, I'm a women's wrestling fan. I haven't seen women's wrestling wow at all yet, but I did have it when I learned of it, and they're doing this all build up. I set my DVR to record it. So I have a ton of DVR episodes of WoW sitting there. But I just haven't started it yet for some reason. I watched my Rampage, my Dynamite, all on the DVR. Basically all the wrestling product. I do my best to watch it on the night of, live. But because, you and I both, we do a lot of podcasts and a lot of entertainment recordings, that it's DVR all the way. But I haven't found myself checking out WoW yet. And I plan to. I haven't deleted it yet.
They make a good unique product. It's very much a throwback, and a lot of inspiration came from Glow. So they have a lot of those sort of characters with a lot of lady wrestlers. The disciplinarian, when it comes to the beast is a beast. And they have some of the wrestlers is good. Sometimes some of the wrestlers is more theatrics, in my opinion. I think and I haven't watched a lot this season simply because it was just off to me, and I'll go back. They put up their episodes on YouTube as well, from what I understand.
Okay, so maybe I can delete some of my DVR a little bit. So I'll go back there, and also it's Pluto TV. There's now a dedicated WoW channel as well. I think that just started last week or something. It's very, very new for this month. So because Viacom owns Pluto TV, and they struck a deal with Viacom, so they're in syndication via Viacom channels, and it also previous seasons are on the CW Seed app. Of course, I don't know how that works now since they sold CW, but okay,
that's probably why the Pluto deal happened.
Okay. So women's wrestling, I'm a big fan, wanting to check out WoW just to get more eyes, and thinking now as well, as I'm a big Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks fan, and I'm kind of thinking what are we expecting? Now that we do shows and we forecast. As a producer, I've been thinking like what are we going to do with women's wrestling? I think, and we spoke on this. I don't know if last episode, but like Jade Cargill, love her. Who should she lose it to? I think Mercedes Moné. That would be amazing. And then because she's also Mercedes, I think they're suggesting for Jade and her career, she needs to go out to Japan. So to me, that's an obvious setup right there, as well as that Forbidden Door, that relationship that AEW has with Japan. It makes complete sense. They're to me, Mercedes Moné is the best women's wrestler. I'm a stan. I'm a stan. I'm part of her beehive if she was Beyonce. Jade Cargill, I love her. To me, they're the two titans. And so I'm curious for you, who's like your top 5 of women's wrestling? What does Mercedes need to do to bring up New Japan? Because that's like her goal. Who would you want to see move around, right now? For me, top 5, just off the cuff, who are my favorites? Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. I like DMD. I like Britt Baker, Asuka, fucking, she's the legend. To me, she's legendary now. There's a lot of top women's wrestlers, but in their various stages of not getting enough shine in both WWE and AEW because they don't know what to do. But I think there's so much unmined talent and stories that under the right direction, under the great writers, could really shine. So maybe, if Mercedes can pull off the impossible and really big up New Japan, because right now, let's be honest, to me, there's Kairi Sane, but here in the West, not a lot of names that the West knows, you know.
Sasha, Mercedes is money, and that's why they got her that contract, and that's what they need to utilize her. Let me tell you, my top 5, like current top 5 is women is a whole lot more difficult than if you ask me that question about the men.
Yeah.
It is so hard because I'm thinking of all of the different companies. Like I'm a Mickie James stan. The fact that she's putting on the matches she's putting on right now. And again, it's not about her age being a woman, but like she's an older woman. And anybody, any wrestler, when they get up into their 40s, early to mid 40s, like you start to see a little bit of rundown because they've been doing this for 20 years or whatever it is. And the fact that she is still going, and I love the fact that Impact has so much trust in her to really carry that division, and she does it well. I mean, and again, Impact's had a whole lot of people. I don't know why, and I think there's more so character work than anything. I have loved me some Rosemary since the whole initial Decay storyline back with when the Hardys were there and the whole delete, like that whole feud just gave me so much respect for Rosemary. I'll also say this is a wrestler that I'm looking forward to. And again, this isn't even top 5, just like these are 5 people that came to my head.
It was hard for me to just, those
top of my head.
They're led.
I really have enjoyed watching the Woad. She's an indie wrestler, seen a lot of her on YouTube. She's going to be on some edition of NWA Power in the near future. Woad stands for Weapon of Ass Destruction. She's I
gotta look that woman up while you talking.
Yes. I've enjoyed watching her matches. Even going more mainstream. Definitely Asuka. Asuka's my top. Asuka has literally been my favorite wrestler since her NXT run, and I for the most part I love everything they've done with her. I just don't like how she's lost to like Charlotte at WrestleMania. Charlotte. I will never knock Charlotte.
Yeah,
in-ring talent.
Yeah,
never knock her. I have never liked her though. Like I respect her talent. I think she's a good worker. There's something about her that has never, as a fan, allowed me to get behind her. It's not even that her last name is Flair. I could care less about that. It's her as a fan. Like I'm just not feeling her.
Yeah.
Great matches. I respect her in-ring pedigree. I'm just not feeling her. And of course, Jade. I love some Jade. This is what I think Jade needs to happen with Jade, though. And this is kind of the problem with AEW. AEW has no real big name, legendary female talent. Jade needs to be put over by somebody like that. Jade needs to be put over by Mickie James or a Taya Valkyrie. Or like I think that's would really help to elevate her in stature, not just in AEW. Because I think, and again, there's no disrespect to her being only in AEW, but because AEW is so new, because she is so new, like she was on an independent circus like that, and like her name is built up in AEW. I think that her being put over by like somebody who has like some real wrestling cred and really being able to, and again, No disrespect to Kiera Hogan. I love her, or Red Velvet, or any of the other 53 women that she has beaten. There are just some people, male or female, you put them in a ring with anybody, and they could draw out a quote unquote 5-star match. Jade, in my opinion, Jade needs that to really become a superstar. And that's what AEW needs, because Jade is a superstar, like in the rough, like straight up. She got the look, she got the attitude. Her in-ring ability is just really progressed in leaps and bounds. I think that's great. I think she, definitely a future star of the industry. She's not there now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I love her though. She is not money like Sasha Banks. She's not money like Bayley. Bayley will draw. Bayley will put on a good match. I even say, who else? Look, as old as she is, again, Lita can still go down. And again, it's not to do with age as well. Look, some people say, "Oh, you're saying that she's old." Because I'm like, no, she's old because she's been wrestling for how many years, and she's in her 40s, and that takes a toll on your body, male or female. Yeah. And the fact
are so resilient. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
The fact that they're so resilient in their, like, I'm 44 years old. I cannot imagine going out into a ring and doing a hell. There's some days I get up, I've been there like, oh, my knee hurt. Like, like, what's wrong with me? I'm getting old. I couldn't imagine doing those things at that age. And then, some women have come back and they're giving birth. They do all these other things. I was like, and you're still going back to say Mickey James, like, wow. It's just like, that's something like, man ain't giving birth. That ain't, birth that changes a woman's body. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're resilient, they're able to keep in shape, they're able to do all these things, and still, Father Time is with them, and they're still out there going like that. Like, that is just nothing short of amazing, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So to get back, I don't know how many I named, but I love so many women's wrestlers right now. There's so many more women's wrestlers I want to see more than male wrestlers, just because of the sort of match. Who did I watch? I watched a new person, La Negra Rosa, and I forget who she was against. I think Velvet Sky or NWA. Was it Velvet Sky? Yeah. I'm sitting there like, I'm loving this match. Like, who is this La Negra Rosa? And Velvet Sky is was it Velvet Sky? Yeah. Anyway, I know one of the beautiful people was announcing. So I forget who was in the ring, but I was really impressed with La Negra Rosa. And I'm like, oh, and I'm watching literally like Power. I got an NWA because of Nick Aldis and the whole 10 pounds of gold. Now I'm watching for women's matches. I'm watching because I'm like, oh, this is a good match. Like Ty Valkyrie stopped through. Like, I could care less about the men's matches and the title scenes. Like, I'm watching Power for the women's matches straight up, and just the women they brought in and the female wrestlers I've been exposed to from the independent circuit that have shown up on NWA Power. It's like, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, but even a better time to be a women's wrestling fan with the title match wrestling. I follow them on YouTube, and they have a lot of great programming there. They do Ladies Night Out, and I don't know when it comes on a pay-per-view, but then they put something up with regards to that on YouTube. So it's just like hours of women's wrestling. Like, it's so amazing right now.
Definitely agree. Now you got me wanting to check out Power a little bit to see what they're up to. So I got 3 more items for this episode, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
WebsterStyle. You brought it up a little bit earlier. One of my other big persons I'm a fan of at NXT, again, repping the NXT behind me. I saw, again, I haven't been watching NXT like I'm watching everything else, but, we see the trailers, if you will, for the NXT when you're watching like a Raw or SmackDown. And one of the recent ones in, I guess, storyline right now, our girl, Roxanne Perez, something happened. She fainted or something. I don't know what's going on. I just saw the trailer. Right. I haven't tuned into the episode yet. I think I set my DVR to record it. I've been too busy to look at like Twitter or IG to see what's going on. Is this a work? but it got me hurt, man. Like, I love this new Roxanne Perez. I loved her at Ring of Honor. Loved her how she performed at Rumble. They actually let her do her thing a little bit, let her, kind of shine a little bit. And now I'm seeing, and then she has a title, but this whole thing, she fainted. I don't know what's going on. Is it a work? What's happening? Can you give me a little bit more? You said a little bit, but I don't know if I caught it.
I'm trying to figure it out as well. I saw part of the match and definitely saw the end when they pulled out the stretcher and she clapped after she I forget the Saray, I think was what it is, who she had the match against. She defeated her, collapse afterwards. Again, I don't know if it was a work. The WWE has gotten so good right now as far as selling things overall as a company that I don't know if it was a work. Booker T, who mentor trainer, because she came out of his reality of wrestling school, was in the ring. He seemed very concerned since
when I saw him moving too, I was like, hold up.
Yeah, he's announcing for NXT. I don't know. I'm considering that what I read today, I don't know what to think. I don't know if it's for real or if it is a work. I honestly, we got about 3 weeks before Stand and Deliver, April 1st. I feel like if we hear something on NXT next week, it's as far as a title, or like some sort of developments in the women's title that doesn't include her, is not a work. I feel like as long as they are silent about it,
wow,
I feel like it could be a work, or they could just be evaluating. Because from what I read in the article I read today, they still don't know. They said it wasn't her heart, so she didn't have any sort of arrhythmia or something like that. So it's luckily, if it's not a work, it's not her heart, which is a good thing. So I'm interested to see, because there are a few, I talked about Nikita Lyons earlier. There are a few people, period, that you see that Jill's like, damn, they are natural. Roxanne Perez is one of those people, male or female, that if you see her in the ring, and again, back in the Ring of Honor days, when you saw her in the ring, like, oh, this is like a fish in water right here. Like this is what she was born to do. There are very few wrestlers that come out the blocks. I mean, she was only like, is she even 20 now?
I don't know. Yeah, she's mad young.
Like I know she ain't drinking age. And she's been around for 2-3 years now. So we talking about somebody started at 17, 18 on a national stage and is literally this wonderkin of wrestling. And you're like, yo, what is she going to be like in 10 years? It's unbelievable what her potential is, considering what she's doing now and the sort of matches and the sort of ring awareness that she has in the ring. It's as a wrestling fan, it's nothing short of amazing. And you just want to watch her every single time she's in the ring.
So I just hope for the best that,
for real,
that she's okay physically, mentally, because we're fans and we love to see her perform. So I really hope, don't know what's going on. Maybe we're the biggest marks right now, but from the WWE, they got us. But man, I'm just concerned.
Story, though. I'm all for a good story.
Yeah. All right. So mad love to Roxanne Perez, and whatever the situation is, we want to see you perform because we are big fans. Also, our man Cody Rhodes, is over in the WWE now, and he's been pointing. He has that big match at WrestleMania. There's been conversation about his wife Brandy. They had their Rhodes reality show a little bit when he was AEW, but we haven't seen her enter yet on WWE. Because they're together. What do you think about that? There were on some of the wrestling outlets, they're thinking about, or at least the news is that they're going to be like having her talk and have Paul Heyman, because it's Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes, having them go at it a little bit and introduce her into the storyline a little bit through that. Do you want to see that, or do you want to see her just come shine on her own? What are your feelings about Brandy coming back?
I don't think it's necessary. Let me put it this way. I like Brandy Rhodes. I think that much like Cody, she could use a little bit of redemption for how things storyline wise and whatnot ended in AEW, because I think we all got tired of Cody and Brandy. Like the booking was just not the best toward the end of their run. I don't think it's necessary though. I don't think it's necessary to bring Cody does just fine on promos. I don't think there's any real reason to have her come out to be on the mic, especially with there not being a female
it doesn't make any
component to the bloodline. It just like realistically, if Dustin wasn't AEW, then that would make sense to bring him out. But of course, he's with another company. That's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't see any reason storyline wise to bring her out unless all of a sudden Naomi re-signs with the company and she's out there, which again, that would be amazing, but I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary. They have enough going on with the storyline. You know, they have the whole bloodline, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, all inserted into that picture. Heyman's a great talker, and then Cody. You don't need any other element thrown in 3 weeks before WrestleMania. Let it build, because right now the biggest issue is really building the hype for that match, because so much of that storyline and fans' attention is on Sami. And let's be real, Sami was not winning the title off of Roman. We all know that. It's a great story. Did I want to see that happen? I don't know. I was probably on the fence about that 50-50.
Yeah, same.
Because honestly, I wanted Cody versus Roman. I think the Rumble was great, and we talked about this. I wasn't upset with the finish. Yes, we all know Cody was going to win, but you know what? We know what wrestling is. It's all about the show. And I honestly think that Cody and Roman are going to tear the house down in that match. Now, will there be shenanigans? I don't know. It's very possible. Would Sami be involved? Possibly, especially with the rest of the bloodline and Owens. And I think potentially right now the storyline is that we'll see the Usos versus Sami and Kevin for the tag titles, which again, I'm not upset with, because let's be frank, with the Usos having both belts on Raw and SmackDown, while they have been pushing the tag team scene, they've just been cannon fodder to the Usos. Again, I love the Usos. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're going to have any teams have the belts for this long as Usos in the New Day, really, and you can't go wrong, and they haven't gone wrong with them. However, there's, in my opinion, there's no real end game for Sami in the WWE undisputed Universal Heavyweight title, whatever it is right now, and I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay. They just need to build this Cody Roman thing. Build it as much as they can in the next 3 weeks. They put on a hell of a damn match, and then where the chips fall, the chips fall. That's the way I feel about it, as far as that's concerned. But yeah, there's no need for Brandy to be a part of this from a storyline standpoint. I think I honestly think that would take away from Cody and really having Cody stand on his own, especially with his storyline reasoning for wanting the WWE title for his dad, for his brother, for his family. Brandy, while that's his wife, she's not in that equation.
Agreed. Completely agree. I'm with you on that. I was seeing, I'm sure just like you, we're checking out the wrestling dirt sheets here and there, watching other wrestling podcasts, and that notion was brought up, and I'm like, nah, man, I don't want it. And on all the points that you express yourself. So, yeah, that's probably why you and I get along so well, because we feel very much the same. So I am with you on that, man, 110%, man. But a big fan of Brandy. Yeah, I want her to come back in some capacity, just not in that storyline yet. Right now, let her shine on her own. Let her do her own thing. Another topic, last one, big one before we go. Legends, part of the wrestling evolution, seeing the diva into women wrestlers, the Bella twins, but no longer the Bella twins now. They are now the Garcia twins, essentially leaving WWE. How do you feel about that? And what do you think for their future? We already kind of saw that transition as fans. They kind of, retired out, if you will. But let's not forget, they also are really tight with Renee Paquette. Renee's over there at AEW. They're tight with Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. They all were together at WWE. Now they're
Right.
at everybody's other respective locations now and organizations. Do you want to see the Bellas maybe holler at Japan with Mercedes, with what she's trying to do? What do you think about all that? Or do you think just gracefully retire now with the Garcia twins, formerly the Bella twins?
No disrespect to the Garcia twins, I could care less.
Were they still in that mold of? Are you kind of like I kind of feel? I'll just say it right here. They were still in that mold of the valet thing. Then they finally got into wrestling. I will say Nikki and Bella did, they picked up, and obviously that's why they put the titles on as well.
Right.
But I don't know. They're just, to me, women wrestlers really got on when we had our Bailey, our Sasha,
right.
our Charlotte. It was still, not to knock AJ Lee, and although AJ Lee was doing some kind of cool shit, but still, they were in that transitional phase. And I don't know, personally, they could wrestle here and there, but I don't know.
Like, no disrespect to them. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't ever knock people's accomplishments in the ring.
Same.
They did the damn thing. They put on good matches, good shows. I never was invested in them as talent. Like they were never a draw for me when it came to women's wrestling. Even think of people back then, like Melina was somebody who I looked at back then, and maybe a little bit earlier. No, Jazz Nolan that's before the Bellas, but like they were a staple of the women's / divas division. But that's when I started looking at NXT, when Charlotte and Asuka and Bailey and all of those.
That was wrestlers, man.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And also why I gravitated more to TNA Impact, because of the knockouts. They never captivated me. They were never an act that I went again. A lot of women wrestlers, I'm sure, were inspired by them and the success they had, and also the evolution. They evolved a whole lot from being ballets and not really trained to becoming very, I would say, decent wrestlers. I wouldn't, from a technical standpoint, I would not. Roxanne Perez would run circles around them from a technical standpoint. So that's why I say that. And a lot of the ladies in NXT right now would run circles around them, even in their prime. Again, that's my opinion. Hate if you want, I don't care. But I will never deny the impact they had in the ring, but more so outside of the ring. Reality television, especially, they came at the right time, and they were involved with the right men to further their own storylines outside of WWE and inside WWE as well. And again, not saying they needed a man, but as far as being able to tell a story, the decisions they made in their lives, while not, hey, we're doing this for TV, it helped them be in a better position to have other opportunities based on what they did in their personal lives. And I think that, anybody's like, oh, you involved with so-and-so, oh, that would make good TV. They didn't do it on purpose. I'm pretty sure, but it makes good TV, and they were able to utilize that aspect, that multimedia aspect of the WWE experience to really branch out and to do other things. And that is not something that even everybody who was on Total Divas was able to do. They had a charm, they had a look that just no one else really matched. And again, they really took the ball and ran with it. Definitely. But from a pure wrestling standpoint, I have never missed them in the ring. I have never been like, oh, the Bellas are back. They have not been an act that I have ever been drawn to. Personally speaking, that's me, WebsterStyle, my opinion. Again, no disrespect, just like I could care less.
Yeah, no worries. Respect. We thank them for what they did. I would definitely, again, you and I are cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. Yeah. The news came out as of this recording that they are transitioning from the WWE. Whether they stay in wrestling, I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Like you said, all I know is with what Sasha is doing, Mercedes Moné, really Mercedes, because that's her real name. I want to see big things. And so it's got me again with, like I was mentioning earlier, my producer hat on, creative hat on, like what can they do? Who can we help build? We're, putting these puzzle pieces together to build it out. To me, the biggest match we need to have is outside of WWE is Jade and Mercedes. I think that will elevate Jade to a whole nother level, because real talk right now, who can front Jade right now? Other than maybe having her go against DMD, Britt. Will that even be right? I don't know. See, to me, they've built her into a Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
And she should crush everyone there. Yes, realistically.
That's
the only way to elevate her is either have Mercedes come in, or really her evolution needs to either go Japan, really fight other Titans, but then I hate to say it, I want AEW to elevate, but WWE is another level. We still know this.
Right.
And we know Vince McMahon is all about Jade Cargill. We've heard she's everything that a Vince McMahon would want.
Right. Exactly.
Over there.
I will say this though, as far as the Garcia twins, I am not sure that them going back in the ring would be a good idea, but I think that if the right creative works with them, they can be really good at being the leaders of a stable, either one or both, and really putting over younger female talent. I think that would be a really good idea. That way, they don't have to get in and take any bumps, or they can take minimum bumps, but not really wrestle, but they could shepherd and guide younger female talent to really elevate them. I think that would be a good position for them if they went to AEW.
That just got me thinking the outsiders that they're doing right now, that whole storyline.
Right.
What if they were to be brought in and that's like their secret weapon,
it could work.
That would be a cool storyline now that you got me thinking about it. Because they're kind of copying that whole outsider,
They said Tony is very much a WCW fan, and he looks at it as WCW in his heyday. So I don't, that has cool. Good things and bad things for those.
That is true.
But as far as Jade is concerned, this is my issue with Jade, and this is more so how the rest of the women's division has been booked. Nobody's been booked to be a credible challenge to her, and that's the problem. You can have somebody dominant. This is very much Goldberg.
That's why it's got to be a heavy like Mercedes.
Yeah,
bring a Titan in like that, because I don't think she should lose to anybody currently in there.
Right, I agree. I totally agree, and I think also too, unlike the Goldberg, his undefeated streak really positioned him to be WCW champion. I think he had another title in between, and I forget. It's old age, ladies and gentlemen. But they aren't positioning her for the title. They are resting her at that TNT, and I think that's maybe one of the biggest faults of this, because she's rested the TNT, and so all those major players, you would think, Britt Baker, Ruby, even Tony, none of those people are in the mix as far as the TNT title. So by extension, everybody she's faced, except really Nia, has been nobody. Again, not knocking any of those women, because there's some great women's wrestlers she's defeated. Nobody has really been that level, so to speak, that championship level that you would, again, going back to Goldberg went through the who's who of WCW doing that run. Even Asuka, she went through the who's who of NXT doing that title run she had, and that undefeated streak, and still undefeated as far as NXT is concerned, and never got beat for that title. I don't envy Tony Khan, because that's a difficult booking. That's difficult booking, especially with the roster that you have. And I can't see, even as much as I love Thunder Rosa, the way they built Jade Thunder Rosa isn't like, there's nobody on their roster that I think really is at that stature to be credible to defeat her. And that's a hard position to be in.
Definitely agree, man. It's going to be interesting, dude. But I'm here for it. I hope the storyline plays out right, and respectfully. You know what I'm saying? I hope they don't like fly by night, hey, and all of a sudden, no, like respect what you've done. But yeah, man, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, man. It's a good time to be a women's wrestling fan, as we said earlier, man. So I'm very curious. We kicked it off at the beginning of the year with like what we think is going to happen, and so my mind hasn't stopped functioning in that way. So there we go, y'all. Women's wrestling episode in this KayFabeyBaby episode. Hopefully next week we'll have Sean back on, and we'll also break down some other going-ons outside of women's wrestling. Again, I'm still wanting to know more with what's up with New Japan, and with you guys being fans of it and watching what's going on, and just where we're gonna go with certain AEW storylines. There's a lot of things going on. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. So WebsterStyle, let's get up out of here. Until next time, man, how can the people check you out and everything you got going on?
You can find me on the social media as WebsterStyle on Twitter, WebsterStyle on Instagram, _WebsterStyle on TikTok, and of course, anything and everything that is WebsterStyle can be found at WebsterStyle.com.
There you go. Follow the homie, my man, WebsterStyle. For me, it's the legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, IG, Hive, and of course here with WebsterStyle, Sean Mongold, Brian Saff, the Checkpoint Squad, Heather, Glenn, Rob, the NRW. New Release Wednesday with Nerds Rule the World, man. We appreciate y'all. Until next time, we out.
Peace.
You come in my face, I'm gonna fight you.
Well, you're not gonna bust a nut anytime we're in the ring.
I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
When I get my hands on you, I'm gonna eat your ass like a pot of collard greens, baby.
I'm gonna stretch his ass like it's never been stretched before.
You can hide behind that commissioner stuff just so long until I jerk a knot in your ass.
And if you don't think I'm big enough, then you grab a hold of me, and you'll know that I'm growing, my man. Within your hands, I will get as big as I need to be to do the job on you.
All right, just jerk Helmsley off.
There's one part of our bodies that's soft, and it ain't soft all the time, if you catch my meaning.
I'm gonna come on you like nobody's ever come on you before. Just you and I getting it on like two men should do.
Oh, that's interesting.
Boy, and I'm coming hard.